What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the vlog. As always, I'm Dookie Betts. In this video, we played over at my buddy K Poker's garage. He's got a pretty awesome home game setup. He's got a couple very nice cameras over there, so it was certainly a very vlogger-friendly environment. It was a great place to play, and I had a lot of fun over there. Wanted to give him a quick shout out. Go check his channel out. He's got a lot of good stuff, and like I said, he really helped me a lot with this vlog, so big shout out to him. As always, guys, codes to my ClubGG are going to be right here. If you guys want to hop in there, play with yours truly, I can get you set up with a 20% deposit bonus, as well as a $25 free play for first-time players, so you certainly don't want to miss out on that. Now that the shameless plug is out of the way, let's hop into the video, and let's turn some sand into gold. You're way ahead. Hopping right into the action we go. We buy into the game at about 6:20 at night. We're in the game for $300 as usual, pretty standard 1-2 home game. We play a couple hands, nothing too significant, and we end up bleeding chips down to about $260, where we pick up our first interesting hand of the night. We look down at King 10 offsuit on the button. We are playing 5-handed as of right now. Not everybody has arrived at the game, so 5-handed, under the gun open to 7. I'm pretty happy just to put in the call here on the button. And then we see the small blind player 3-bet things up to $30. Under the gun player is going to fold, and it gets back over to me, and obviously this is like a pretty clear fold here, I think. The small blind player is my friend Taliana. She's a bit aggressive, probably gets out of line a time or two, so certainly not great here, but I am going to put in the call and play a 3-bet pot in position versus this absolute whale. With $70 in the middle, we get a flop of Queen 9-6, two-tone board, 2 clubs and a spade. We have a little gut shot, 1 overcard, and aside from that, a whole lot of nothing to go with it. She's going to lead out here for $30 into about 70, and obviously once again this is probably a fold, but we're not going to do that. We put in the call and we're still going heads up to the turn. Turn rolls off the jack of clubs. Really good stuff for us here. We now have the straight. She's now going to slow down and check, and this is a really good sign for us. I think in a lot of cases if she had a flush, she would likely come with a second barrel here, so I'm feeling very confident about our straight here. When it gets checked over to us here, this is going to be our first significant decision point on this hand. We absolutely could bet. We have thick value here, I'd say, for the most part. However, if we bet the turn, bet the river, I really don't think we're getting value from a hand like 2-pair combos. Tally is a bit aggressive, but she's also very capable, so I really don't see her paying me off with anything worse than what I have. So that being said, we decide to check back here, play it a little bit deceptively, as well as gaining some pot control in this hand. River rolls off the 7 of spades, seems like a pretty clean river card. She's now going to do some leading here. She comes with $80 into about 130. I snap call, and she's going to show us the bad news early here. She has ace-10 of clubs for the nut flush. Nice hand, ma'am, you win the pot, and honestly a lot of this hand was just self-inflicted pain. We really shouldn't have been involved here. We probably should have folded to the 3-bet pre-flop, probably shouldn't have floated on the flop, and when we make a straight on the turn, we really can't fold on the river, so not played super well, kind of got ourselves in some trouble here. That's the beauty of poker, and we're going to add on for another $300 and move on. About 10 minutes later, we look down at ace-8 of hearts. We're in the big blind with the straddle onto our direct left. We see K Poker raise things up to $15 out of the cutoff position. Following this, we see the button player put in the call. I'm a bit tilted, a bit angry from that last hand, and we decide to 3-bet here to $70 with ace-8 suited, just trying to attack some dead money here. I don't really think the button player is ever going to be super strong. We are 5-handed, so let's mix it up a little bit, play a suited ace out of position. K is going to start running his mouth a little bit here, talking about how he's got a pair, and everybody else seems to have a pair, something along those lines, so.
I have a pair, and everybody else just seems to have a fucking pair?
For the most part, I believe him. I don't think he's just like running some sort of sick angle here. He's eventually going to put in the call for $70. The button player's going to get out of the way, and we're now going heads up out of position with what seems like a pair, I would imagine. We get a very interesting flop of 999, obviously a rainbow board. Obviously, as played, he would probably be 4-betting hands like aces, kings, queens, jacks. And when he just calls my 3-bet pre, he's somewhat capped shocked in terms of how big his pair can actually be if he was telling the truth about that. I'm happy to c-bet here for $55 into about $1.60. We're going about third here, which seems pretty standard. I would probably do this with all of my over pairs, aces, kings, queens, stuff like that. Kyle's gonna hit the tank for some time here and then eventually lay it down. If you guys have seen his vlog already, he covered this one in his channel, and he had pocket sevens, so glad we could steal some chips here and make him fold pocket sevens. For what it's worth, I was gonna barrel the turn in the river, and he was probably gonna have to fold eventually, so glad we could take it down here, add a few chips to our stack, and of course, take a 1-0 lead in the vlogger v vlogger violence war. Always a good feeling to get the best of a fellow vlogger. About half an hour goes by, we don't play any very significant hands. We chip up a bit, we're now at about $550 in the stack, so definitely getting the wheels rolling in the right direction so far. In this hand, we see the hijack player limp in for $2. I go ahead and raise to 12 from the cutoff, just trying to isolate this player and go heads up in position. That's pretty much exactly what happens when it folds all the way back around to the hijack player, and he puts in the call for 12, so in position we go with Jack 10 offsuit. We get a flop of Jack 10 deuce two-tone board, obviously a phenomenal board for our hand. We have top 2 pair. As played, our opponent can't really have jacks and 10s, so feeling pretty good about our hand thus far. He's gonna check it over to us, and we're gonna size up here, go $20 into about 27. Reason being, there are a lot of draws on this board, hands like king, queen, 8-9, club draws, things of that nature. We don't really have any removal to any of those, aside from the jack of clubs. We're gonna size up, try and get protection against those pesky draws, and just try and get value from Jack X and a variety of other things that we'll call $20 here. We put in $20, and he pretty quickly puts in the call, so we're going to the turn with about $70 in the middle. Turn rolls off the 8 of spades. Not the best turn card because hands like queen 9 specifically get there. I suppose he could have pocket 8s as well, so really not the greatest turn card, but honestly we still have top 2 pairs, so I'm not too worried about it. We're now going to see the hijack player lead out here for $40, which I thought was pretty creepy and strange, to be honest with you. Not really sure what this means. Obviously I've never played with this player before. Folding seems very premature here, while raising sort of just seems like we're only going to get called by better, and that leaves us with one option: just call. We decide to put in $40 here, playing in position, and we're going to reevaluate on the river. River rolls off the 3 of spades. We now see the hijack player check. Really confused here. I really don't think he's ever going to have a strong value hand as played like this. So when it gets over to us, we are in the tank for a bit here, trying to decide what kind of size to go with here. Pot's about $150. Like I said, I don't really think he ever plays a strong hand this way, so I'm happy to size down here a bit and just try and get crying calls from hands like 10x, maybe like an 8. It really doesn't feel like he has anything all that strong though, so we decide to go with a $60 river bet here, going about third. This player's now going to hit the tank for quite some time here, and eventually he's going to put in the call. We roll over our hand, and he just immediately mucks his cards, so I'm not exactly sure what he had here, but it does feel like our river bet sizing makes a lot of sense and got us the max here on this river. This next hand's a pretty quick one, so we're just going to sort of gloss over it. We pick up ace-5 of clubs in the big blind position. We see the button player open things up to 10 once it folds all the way around to him. The small blind player puts in the call, and I feel like this is a really good 3-bet spot. Most of the time when it folds around to the button player is just going to be opening way too wide here, so we get to 3-bet even wider. Also, the small blind just flatting here, that's never going to be a strong hand, so really good 3-bet spot here. So that's what we go ahead and do. We make it $45 to go, about 4x. It gets back over to the button player, and he now goes all in for $60. And this is totally on me, guys. I totally just didn't even realize that he only had $60 in his stack. Had I known this, I'm obviously never 3-betting this hand. I just don't think it really makes any sense to go ahead and 3-bet against a $60 stack here ever, so yeah, we messed this one up pretty bad. Small blind player is going to fold, and it gets back over to me, and obviously we're just totally priced in at this point. We put in the last few bucks to make the call. He flips over pocket queens. We're in really tough shape, and we run things once. We do not hit an ace. We lose the pot, and we just pretty much lit $60 on fire here. So once again, just our fault here for 3-betting. We totally should have recognized that this player was a short stack. Just got to be better, lock in a bit more, and probably shouldn't let this happen again. About another half hour goes by where we don't play anything all too significant. In this hand, we wake up with ace-queen offsuit in middle position. We're faced with a +1 open to $12, and we go ahead and 3-bet things up to $45. It's going to fold all the way back around to the +1 opener, and he's going to put in the call. So we're going heads up in position in a 3-bet pot. We get a flop of 9-7-6 rainbow board. Obviously not a great start for our hand. This player's going to check it over to us, and I am going to c-bet here just because I feel like this player is going to have a fair amount of like Broadway combos, hands like King Jack, Queen Jack, stuff like that will just automatically fold on a board like this. We fire out small here, we go about 40 bucks, and this player gets sticky here and pretty quickly puts in the call. Not really loving the spot thus far, likely going to be shutting down on the turn and the river. Turn rolls off the 8 of diamonds, bringing in 4 to a straight here, and again, just really bad card for us. We just have ace high. We're almost certainly never good on a board like this. So when this player checks it over to us once again, I'm pretty much done with this hand, ready to give up, throw in the towel, and we just check it back. Let's see a river. River rolls off the 3 of diamonds. Again, another card that's just not helpful for us in the slightest. In terms of bluffing, I also think we just have like a bad hand to bluff with a lot here. We don't have a diamond, we block no flushes, we don't really block any straights. If we had a hand like ace-jack offsuit with the ace of diamonds, I think that would be a much more viable candidate to start bluffing with, just because we block hands like jack-10 and we also block the nut flushes. That would actually be a pretty interesting bluff, but with our specific combo, I think we're just gonna give up here and try and show this down. Maybe ace-high is good, but yeah, it doesn't really make sense to bluff here, and obviously we're never winning at showdown. We're just gonna give up here. But then our buddy Evan starts talking to us here. Let's hear what he has to say.
So I'm gonna check and you're gonna have to bet, right? I check. You have to fire here. I mean, you have air, so fire. And I'll probably fold.
You talk a lot.
Not enough, but bet.
How much?
$2.
2?
Yeah.
Oh, 2. I check. Ace high.
I know.
Ah. It's good.
It's the bet.
You're giving me good advice, actually. I wouldn't do it. I should have listened. If I wasn't. Except not $2. That was bad advice for it. For the next hour after that hand, we don't really play all that many hands. We did play a PLO bomb pot where we probably punted a bit. Didn't get it on film, but at this point in time, we're down to $223 in the stack, and about an hour of time has progressed thus far, so. But yeah, as of right now, we're stuck quite a bit of money and really not feeling all that confident thus far. In this hand, we look down at ace-queen offsuit in the big blind position. We see a low jack open to $10, and this is followed up by a hijack, a cutoff, and a button call. With ace-queen here, I'm happy to squeeze this one up, attack all of this dead money, and try and play a bigger pot with ace-queen. It is a somewhat premium hand, so let's put more money in the middle here. We make things $55 to go. It's going to fold all the way back around to the button player, and this is very good news here just because I think the button is very capped in terms of what he can actually have. With 3 $10 flats in front of him, he's definitely going to be squeezing up all of his best holdings here, so I'm pretty sure I'm ahead with my ace-queen here most of the time. He eventually puts in the call, and I'm ready to just put the rest of the chips in here at this point. This can never really be that strong of a hand. We get a flop of king 8-6 two-tone board. There's about 140 bucks in the middle, and I've got about 170 back. If he's got a weak king, he's probably not folding, but there's still a variety of other hands in his range that will probably fold here. I didn't really give this decision too much thought, so again, not the greatest play on my end, but I end up shoving it all in here for about 168 bucks effective, and we just get snapped right off by kings. Certainly not the greatest bluff spot we've ever found, but at the same time, I'm absolutely perplexed that this player had kings here. Like, I guess good play, dude. Way to just overflat kings on the button and catch a huge bluff from a donkey like myself. Well done, sir. You deserve this pot more than I do. Nice hand. After dusting off our stack in that last hand with ace-queen, we come to the conclusion that we're totally not tilted at all, and we buy in for $400 more, so maybe not the smartest decision here given how the night has been going. But the night is still very young, and we can still find plenty of more horrible bluff spots. In this hand, we look down at pocket fives on the button. There's the $5 straddle out from the under the gun position. We see the +1 player limp in, and this is followed by a +2 open to $25. It gets back over to me on the button, and I would like to go set mining in these spots in position. If we drill a 5, we can likely get paid. If we don't drill a 5, it's a pretty easy spot. We'd usually just find a fold. We put in the call for $25. Everywhere else folds. so we're going heads up in position with pocket fives. We get a flop of king 7-7 rainbow board. Obviously no 5 on this flop, so pretty easy decision here. We're just gonna fold. The +1 player leads out for $25, and of course I don't do that. I put in a call, so we're off to a fantastic start here with the pocket fives. Let's play a turn. Turn card rolls off the 10 of clubs. This player now checks it over to me, and I think that this is never really king X holdings here. He would likely be betting on the turn, especially on a 10 of clubs turn here. This is sort of a wet card. There's going to be a lot of bad rivers if he has some sort of king X. Maybe if he has a hand like pocket kings, he can lay a trap from time to time here on a turn card like this. But for the most part, I feel like we can start to put some king X holdings in a tough spot here. So we ambitiously fire out $75 as a stone cold bluff. This player tanks and tanks and tanks, and then eventually puts in the call for 75 bucks. And I think I'm committed to finding another terrible bluff on the river here. The river rolls off the jack of clubs, and if this player now has a king, he's in a world of hurt here because I'm absolutely going to put him to the test. But that's not what happens. He now lead jams for $135. Obviously, I can't call with pocket fives. I do some Hollywooding here just to pretend like I actually had a real hand, even though deep down I'm very ashamed of arriving to the river with pocket fives here, so a bit embarrassed on this one. But at the same time, it sort of seems like this player saved me some money because I was likely going to jam this river as a stone cold bluff. So let me know what you guys think about this hand in the comments below. Obviously, I am a bit steamed thus far in the session, a little bit tilted, but I really don't hate my bluff on the turn here for what it's worth, but you guys be the judge of that. Go comment down below what you think of this hand and maybe berate me a little bit if you think I'm deserving of being berated. About an hour and a half goes by and we really don't do anything. We out on for another $200, so we're now in the game for $1,200, which for 1-2 is quite a bit. This next hand is a PLO $5 Deuces Wild Bomb Pot. As you guys all know, this is a private home game as well, so we mix it up, do some silly shit during some of these games. In this one, the 4th card was requested by yours truly. It is my button, I get to pick. That the 4th card dealt gets turned up. So you have 4 cards, but everybody at the table gets to see your 4th card, adding a very interesting twist to this style of bomb pot. 6-handed, we go to a flop with 30 bucks in the middle, and we get a flop of ace-ace-3 rainbow board. We now see the small blind, who's showing an ace face up, lead out for 25 bucks into 30. Following this is where it gets very interesting. The big blind, the under the gun, and the cutoff player all put in calls, and all 3 of them are showing a deuce. That means there's no more deuces left in the deck. We have the 4th deuce in our hand. So just keep that in mind. That's very valuable information. All of the deuces are dead. Deuces are completely overpowered in this game, so when it gets over to us, we have a pretty easy call here. We do have a deuce in our hand, so we can improve on a lot of turn cards, and we also are last to act here, so we can see what the 3 people with deuces showing choose to do on the turn, so that's also very valuable information as well. We put in 25 and we're going 5 ways to the turn. Turn rolls off the 4 of hearts, so now we have deuce 4 playing in our hand, which means we pretty much have top full house here. Given that the big blind player, the cutoff, and the button player are all showing a deuce, that means they can't have deuce deuce in their hand, and given that the small blind player is showing an ace, there's only 1 ace left in the deck. Obviously we do lose to ace ace and ace deuce specifically, but given the way these cards are distributed, it's very difficult for each of these players to possess that exact combination given that they're spread out evenly amongst all of us. We now see the small blind player pot it for $130, and each player with a deuce 1 by 1 folds. All of the deuces are now dead. We're the only player left that can possibly have a deuce. Because of this, we can eliminate that combo from the small blind player's range. That means he's only got 1 possible combo of ace-ace that beats us. We're chopping with ace-4, but we have 2 4s in our hand as well, which means there's only 1 combo of ace-4. But at the end of the day, we only lose to ace-ace. That's 1 combo of cards. Just 1. Everything else we're either ahead of or chopping with, so we have a pretty easy decision here. He doesn't have much back. We decide to pot it, put all the money in now, and he snaps us right off with ace-ace. It's actually unbelievable. This is the sickest thing I've ever seen. We lose to 1 combo of hands, ace-ace, and ace-ace only, and he has it. One of the tougher beats I've taken in my life thus far, I won't lie to you. Again, sort of self-inflicted just because I called this stupid-ass game. Maybe I am meant to fold here just because the pot into 3 deuces can literally never be a bluff ever. So with respect to that, maybe I should be folding deuce 4 here, but that feels so hard to do, especially given the math that we just worked out and how literally it's only one combo of hands we're losing to. But that's poker. You ride the ups, you ride the downs, and this was certainly one of the tougher hands we've played. Let me know what you guys think about this dumbass game in the comments down below. This last hand is the absolute nail in the coffin for us tonight. We see the low jack player limp in. I'm in the hijack position with pocket kings, and I raise things up to $15. The cutoff's gonna come along as well and put in the $15 call. It gets back over to the low jack player and he folds, so we're going heads up out of position with about 30 bucks in the middle. We get a flop of 9-6-5 rainbow board. We're gonna check out a position here and it gets over to my friend Tally and she goes all in. I absolutely snap it off. Watch for yourself.
They need 219 to beat me.
Yeah, it's 24 and a half. They give it.
Calling. I was set.
Once is good. Sweet. And that's pretty much going to wrap up the video, guys. I was way too steamed to film an outro after this one, but we were in the game for 5.5 hours, in for 1,300 bucks, out for 100 for a nice little profit of negative $1,200. Obviously doesn't feel great losing like this. That's part of the game. Shit happens. You can't win them all. Obviously we didn't play great in a lot of these hands as well, so we have to manage our tilt better. We have to do a better job with that. We're going to learn a lot from these hands and hopefully get better in the process. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos on the way. If you made it until this point in the video, I really appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching until the end. And yeah, guys, until next time, Dookie Bets.